I mean, Donald Trump had a sit-down dinner with Nick Fuentes, and the very same people who were silent about that are now clutching their pearls about this admittedly weird tattoo that Graham Platner has apologized for.
And it's a Nazi tattoo,
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not...
acknowledge that. It's not weird. It's a Nazi tattoo.
It's awful, yeah.
So
Susan Collins is the Republican every Democrat wishes every Republican was.
No.
She convicted Donald Trump.
No.
Yes, she worked with Joe Biden on a bunch of stuff. She is as bipartisan as they come.
No, she's not. She rubber stamps everything.
Oh, you're going to like this.
Wait.
Trust me. Just you wait. You're going to love me saying this. When voters learn about Graham Platner's scandals, he beats Susan Collins. He goes up in the polls, 48 to 43.
So Graham Platner has won. And you can see that Republicans are now starting to feel a bit of the pressure and are a little bit scared. And in this clip, we see Adam Mockler tell the truth when it comes to Susan Collins and also clash with a Republican on the panel for the brazen double standard of picking bad candidates and what is acceptable versus what's not acceptable. Let's watch the clip in full, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts at the end.
I'm Abby Phillip in New York. We're following breaking news tonight on a number of key primary races across the country with control of Congress at stake. One of the most consequential contests is unfolding in the state of Maine, where Democrat Graham Platner just clinched the state's nomination for the United States Senate. That's despite a slew of scandals that he has faced in the months leading up to tonight's vote.
And to any of those who feel let down or disappointed or disillusioned, it is my job to earn your trust, faith, and support. And I will spend every day of this campaign, and if I have the privilege, every day in the United States Senate doing exactly that.
Platner will face longtime GOP Senator Susan Collins in a crucial matchup, and Democrats will almost certainly need to win it if the party hopes to flip the chamber in the fall. We're also keeping an eye on South Carolina, where Republican Senator Lindsey Graham just punched his ticket for November without a runoff. And in the state's GOP primary for governor, Congresswoman Nancy Mace is admitting defeat in a race that has tested the power of President Trump's influence and his endorsement. Instead, Trump backed Lieutenant Governor Pam Yvette, and she will advance to the runoff later this month, along with Attorney General Alan Wilson. But let's start with Maine and the Graham Platner of it all. He gave a pretty defiant speech tonight. He attacked Susan Collins, but basically he was arguing this is a redemption narrative, right? He quoted a hymn, "I was once lost and now I'm found," though he admitted that he's not very religious. Nevertheless, we've heard this from many a politician before. Is it enough?
I think it remains to be seen if it's enough. And what I'm curious on to see is what do the vote totals look like? I mean, how much did Janet Mills pull from Graham Platner? Because that's going to be really a big indicator of how much he's going to have to win when it comes to Maine voters. At the end of the day, I mean, I think Graham Platner is a very flawed candidate. I think if I were a Mainer today, I would have probably cast my vote for Janet Mills. I think every moment that we talk about Graham Platner and his scandals or whatever it is, we're losing time talking about the issues that matter to voters, which is, as we know, affordability and gas prices. And I think we're taking away from candidates who are putting competitive seats in play, like in Iowa, Ohio, even in Texas in the Senate race, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I think Graham Platner is going to have a wave to overcome. And I don't know if there's more coming out, but if there is, he's going to have to brace for that.
There probably is more coming out, don't you think, Adam?
There could be, but we are now witnessing the post-cancellation, post-purity style of politics that the Republican Party has ushered in. I'm not going to sit here and defend things Graham Platner did in his past. Not even Graham Platner defends these things that he did in his past. But we have watched for a decade as Republicans have repeatedly lowered the threshold, lowered the standards for their candidates. And now Democrats are going to keep holding our candidates to an infinitely higher standard while we have Ken Paxton in Texas, while we have Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office right now. And I guess it remains to be seen. But I also want to rephrase.
Is it a high standard or is it a low standard?
Listen,
because I'm not sure that he's being held to a higher standard than anybody else.
Well, but the Republican Party is absolutely holding him to a higher standard than they hold their own candidates. I mean, Donald Trump had a sit-down dinner with Nick Fuentes, and the very same people who were silent about that are now clutching their pearls about this admittedly weird tattoo that Graham Platner has apologized for.
And
it's
the same
a Nazi
Republican
tattoo,
yeah.
Adam.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not...
Acknowledge that. It's not weird. It's a Nazi tattoo.
It's awful, yeah.
So, I mean, look, Democrats now are, I hear what you're saying, and I know we've had conversations with you, Caroline, about similar things, but basically Democrats are saying that we're going to go lower. They go low, we go just as low.
I think that Democrats are trying to reframe this away from Graham Platner's personality and towards a race between Graham Platner versus Susan Collins. Susan Collins is somebody who rubber stamps all of Donald Trump's worst impulses, from stripping health care away from tens of millions of Americans that will lead to death. We talked about the affordability issues. We talked about ICE even. I mean, Susan Collins rubber-stamped Kristi Noem, which led to the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. So I'm not going to sit here and judge Mainers who want to push against the status quo. It's not my place to judge. If Graham Platner can earn their trust, then he earns their trust.
But I think what's missing in the analysis here is that Graham Platner just won a Democrat primary by running on the best aspects of President Trump's 2024 campaign platform. If you look at Graham Platner's platform, he ran on no foreign intervention in the Middle East, no new wars. He ran on D.C. has been working for the elites and it has stopped working for the working class, which is very similar to President Trump's original drain the swamp message. He ran on bringing back U.S. manufacturing, working class issues. He's an anti-establishment working class candidate.
And that's the Democratic Party.
Here's what you guys are missing.
She is making an important point.
He ran on that, and that's what he won.
This is a version of the type of politics, of a type of populism on the left that Trump ran. At least he ran on it on the right. I'm not sure we could argue he governed quite that way, but he ran on it.
My gut tells me this is a byproduct of the wrapping of the messenger as much as it is the message itself. He looks like a dude. Let's just say what it is. He's got the scruff. He's got the edge. At a moment in which Democrats were...
I actually would say
it's the politics.
I don't think it's that.
Allow me to finish, though. Allow me to finish, because it's actually the Democrats who did this whole autopsy on what it is to be masculine.
Did you guys? Did you ever
Right?
notice that? I've never seen it.
Allow me to
let
finish.
LZ to finish.
It's the Democrats that did this whole analysis about what it means to be masculine. They didn't do that because there wasn't a problem there. They didn't do that because there wasn't something that was happening on the right that they couldn't tap into. When I look at Graham Platner, the first thing I think of, he looks like a dude. And he looks like someone who looks very different than many of the men who lead the Democratic Party. And I think that is an appealing aspect that Democrats need to talk about.
And maybe the flaws are part of that package.
No. You are correct, LZ, with that part. He looks like a dude. And when he first entered the race and he said, I'm an oyster farmer, I said, uh-oh, we got problems. Turns out he's not an oyster farmer. Turns out he's not a low-class guy. Went to Hotchkiss, got a bunch of money. He isn't what he says he is. Now, this isn't a reframing about turning this to Susan Collins. Susan Collins is the Republican every Democrat wishes every Republican was.
No.
She convicted Donald Trump.
No.
Yes, she worked with Joe Biden on a bunch of stuff. She is as bipartisan as they come.
No, she's not. She rubber stamps everything.
Susan Collins is the garbage. And by the way, come November, just like 6 years ago, just like we were seeing garbage polls about Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, we saw garbage polls about Susan Collins in Maine. Come November, she's going to wipe the floor with Graham.
Here's an interesting poll for you.
In Maine, Mainers don't want to be put in a moral quandary of saying Nazi tattoo versus...
Yeah, but when they learn about his scandals, just to be clear, when voters learn about Graham Platner scandals, oh, you're going to like this. Trust me, just you wait. You're going to love me saying this. When voters learn about Graham Platner's scandals, he beats Susan Collins. He goes up in the polls, 48 to 43. Republicans, I'm telling you, you gotta stop talking about his scandal. Like, have to talk about the fact that he wants to abolish ICE, which is a position that 70% of Americans do not support.
Start talking about that platform that he's talking about.
Yeah,
I think that is it's not President Trump's platform. I mean, President Trump ran on affordability. And they lost the
no new wars.
We've lost, and all of that has completely changed right now with President Trump in office. And I think to the point of Graham Platner, he's not only someone that doesn't look like the establishment, but you look at the contrast between him and Janet Mills, someone who is the sitting governor of Maine, and people want change. I mean, people are seeing what Donald Trump came in on and was elected on, and they're not getting the results that they voted for, and they look at someone like Graham Platner, who I'm not defending, but I'm saying is offering something different.
Well, he's offering Trump's 2020 original platform, which is the winning one.
Well,
everybody should stick to that if they want to win elections.
Donald Trump flipped on it.
Great, then more times you're going to win. If we're talking about affordability, we're going to win on that.
We talked about the swamp. The contrast that we need to make is between Susan Collins and Graham Platner. Janet Mills is done. So Susan Collins is a definition of a swamp creature. She promised she would run for 2 terms. She's now running for her 6th term after her net worth is increased by 2,000%.
What did Mark Warner say about that? What did half the
She is
Democrats
running
in the
for.
Senate say
She is
about
the
that? Same
definition
thing.
of the swamp. The Senate currently has a 12% approval rating. So if Mainers want to gain trust in Graham Platner,
Will you
scandals
oppose
or
Mark
not.
Warner when he runs for re-election?
I'm talking about Susan Collins
No, but
versus Graham
we gotta be
Platner.
consistent.
I also am not going to take this pearl clutching from Republicans who have 0 to say about Donald Trump having dinner with Nick Fuentes. Have you condemned
have,
that?
yeah.
Have you condemned that? I
Yeah,
looked through your
Nick
Twitter. I didn't
Fuentes
see it.
stinks.
Have you
Well, Twitter, I don't
condemned
tweet very
Donald
much.
Trump for having dinner with Nick Fuentes?
I would not be having dinner
You're
with
falling
Nick
into
Fuentes.
the
No.
same trap.
But this is beyond the point, dude.
It's not-
I am the most. I am awfully
You have
critical of
standards
Donald
down
Trump.
here, and we match you, and you say,
That
what the
is
hell? You have
okay,
standards
wait a minute,
down
wait a
here, and we
minute.
match you.
That-
Trump
okay,
had dinner
so
with a
Nazi
Nazi.
tattoo is good, so that's okay now because
No.
Donald Trump
He didn't
set the
defend
standard.
it.
No one's
I would
defending
never
the Nazi
defend that.
tattoo.
Why would I ever
No one's
defend that?
defending the Nazi
Well, I know,
tattoo.
but where is the standard? Why
The
does
standard is
two
what you
wrongs
set
don't make
when
a
Donald
right?
Trump
Is that
had
not
dinner
true?
with Nick Fuentes.
You
Can you
guys are
condemn
That's
missing
it?
not.
the
It's
point,
not
which
just
is
a
that
Nick
the
can't condemn
voters
it.
don't
You can't
care.
condemn it.
Criticism
It
by
was
both
put in
sides.
front of the
I
voters,
I
and they
just
don't
said
care.
I want to. There's some other news that happened tonight in California. Steve Hilton earned his.
So I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. I will leave the link below if you guys are going to want to watch the rest of the show. I will cover some more of the segments from it as well. But I just want to give my perspective really quick because once again, I don't know what Abby Phillip is doing personally. I'm really struggling to understand the flip-flop. You know, the comment that she made about Republicans go low, but Democrats are now going lower. It's not that Democrats are going lower. It's just simply the fact that Democrats are matching the exact same energy that it is that Republicans are giving. That is it. I mean, I'm not sure what it is that Abby Phillip wants. Does she want the Democrats to continue to lose and Republicans can continue to have power? They can continue to be in charge. They can continue to drive the United States into the ground more than they already have. I'm not exactly sure what it is that she's saying. It's not really computing with me. So as usual, if you guys understand, let me know down in the comment section below, because I am finding it hard to wrap my head around the way that Abby Phillip is positioning things. Now, you literally just saw an example of Republicans' hypocrisy when it comes to Donald Trump then towards the end. When Adam Mockler asked the Republican on the panel, you know, do you condemn Donald Trump sitting down with Nick Fuentes? Did you notice that he didn't straight out condemn it? He didn't. What he done instead is he danced around the issue. I think it stinks. That wasn't the question. Do you condemn Donald Trump sitting down with Nick Fuentes? And he couldn't answer the question. This is also the same party who have allowed their leader to consistently be racist and nobody is giving him pushback. The Barack Obama's image of monkeys, you know, referring to typically, you know, countries that are based around Africa, the Middle East as S-hole countries, you know, talking about banning Muslims, the way that it is that he speaks and treats women. This has gone unchecked for years, but that same party now want to turn around and try and tell Democrats that they shouldn't be backing a candidate like this. It's honestly astounding. And the fact that Abby Phillip keeps on acting like the situations are the same is absolutely confusing me. Donald Trump has been in politics for 10 years. And for 10 years, we've seen Democrats take the moral high ground. How has that worked out for them? Not good. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. See you guys in the next one.